Hey everyone, my name is Sam, and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification, and if you get to the end and enjoyed it, give the video a thumbs up. So it's December, so it's like kind of like a wrap-up reflecting on everything you read sort of month, and I have spent an offensive amount of time on Goodreads cursing at the website, trying to make it do what I want it to do, but it doesn't. So I think, anyways, well, no, I know these are all books that I read more than once in the past year, the past, 12-ish months. I think I got them all, but like I said, Goodreads is not the most functional website if you want to do anything out of like saying you're reading a book. So I think these are all of the books that I read more than once this year. So the first book that I read twice this year was Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. This is a contemporary that I liked, which floored me. It's one of my favorite books of the year, hands down. And it follows our main character, Michael, who is an atheist who is sent to a Catholic school and is going through lots of family drama and then gets involved with this gang. It's a very funny book. But he gets involved with this kind of ragtag group of misfits at a school that, despite being a Catholic school, there's people on different spectrums of Catholicism, and then there's this very, very vocal feminist, and then there's a gay Jewish boy, and then there is a pagan. It's just tons of fun, and I thoroughly loved it. I also did two reads of A Treacherous Curse by Deanna Raybourn, the third book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I did my second read of it last week actually. If you haven't watched that video yet, or my other review, I thoroughly love this series. This is the third book, and it's set to be a 5-book series. The fourth book, A Dangerous Collaboration, comes out in March, and it's just, I'm such trash for this series. It's like romantic-y tension in Victorian era with a very vocal feminist and her kind of ragtag haughty guy helping her solve mysteries. And this one involves British folks going to Egypt and stealing relics, and love it. I'm actually kind of offended that I read this book only twice this year. I may, in all honesty, read it again in December because I'm trash for it. So, Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I discovered this series this year and inhaled it, and then abusively replayed the movie on repeat. Nonetheless, this is another one that I'm confused. It's a contemporary, and I liked it. It's total chick lit trash, just a bunch of family drama and rich peoples, and it's ridiculous, and that's exactly why I love it. I also read The Wicked Deep twice this year. This is a book by Shay Earnshaw. It was a debut work. This is a kind of contemporary. I'm just realizing how many contemporaries are on this list. So it's set in Sparrow, Oregon, kind of like a Salem sort of situation where in like 1820 or something like that, 3 sisters were accused of being witches and killed and drowned. And then every summer since, they have come back and like haunted the village and taken 3 boys, one each sister, and drowned them in the lake. And then we come to present day, and they come back that summer, and we are at present day, and then we also get a glimpse going back and forth. And this is, again, one of my favorite books of the year. I was very surprised by it. Absolutely adored it. I'm so excited to see the author's next work. She has a book coming out in 2019, and this is actually, I think, optioned to be made into a movie or show by Netflix. I also read Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young twice this year. I originally was like meh about it. I liked it but didn't love it the first time, and then I reread it and I really, really enjoyed it the second time around. And then she was in the TBR and Beyond group and did a virtual visit, and she's adorable. I love Adrienne Young. And there's a companion book coming out to this one in 2019. Yes, and it's something like I think it's called like the girl the ocean gave back or something like that. I don't know. It's on Goodreads. And yeah, it is YA historical fiction, Vikings, and our main character's in the middle of a battle, her clan versus the rival clan, when all of a sudden on the other team she sees her brother, who was supposed to have died 5 years ago, and he's not supposed to be on their side. And then she gets kidnapped and taken in by that clan, and things go all over the place. I also read A Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan twice this year. I read it basically as soon as I got it, and then I reread it when the author was in the TBR and Beyond group. This is a King Midas retelling, which is not a retelling I think I've ever read before. In all honesty, I've never read King Midas itself, but like I know the general gist, and I've seen Once Upon a Time. It's used in there. And it follows Cora, who is the daughter of King Midas, and has this kind of like ability to like absorb gold and then like turn other like transfer gold almost, kind of is the easiest way to say it. Yeah. And then there's pirates and adventuring and betrayal and pirates. I'm such trash for pirates. This year I also read Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi twice. I was lucky enough to get an arc of the book early on in the year and blew through that in a couple days. And then I read the finished copy when it came out, which I really, really love. I'm really conflicted because the author did some like kind of sketchy things on Twitter, which is kind of making me less excited for the sequel. But Children of Virtue and Vengeance, I think it is coming out in early 2019, I think March. And conflicted is the easiest way to say it. But this book itself, I absolutely love the magic, the culture, the atmosphere, the writing was just really, really, really good. But we have multiple main characters, but we've got this girl here. And essentially she is from the lower class in the society, and the king of this kind of area has restricted magic and very heavily persecuted and taxed the people that did have magic because of all their history. And she starts challenging a lot of that, and then she gets the king's daughter and son involved in a variety of ways, and then her brother, and there's this kind of chase and adventure, and there's this like ship battle thing, and it was just really good. I really, really love this book. I also read Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody twice this year, and I went into this very hesitant. In all honesty, I picked up the arc in early 2018 at a conference just because I was like, I recognize that title, and it was just a bunch of like older adult book arcs, and I was like, I have zero interest in all those except for this one. So I grabbed it, and I read Daughter of the Burning City, didn't like it. So I was very hesitant, but I knew people were really excited about this, so I figured I'd give the arc a shot. And I'm so glad I did. I absolutely love this book. Like, Daughter of the Burning City was just like, I'm just not even gonna think about that one for me. But it's like a Las Vegas kind of historical fiction fantasy situation. Our main character travels to this Las Vegas-y kind of town because her mother is missing. This Las Vegas-y town has a lot of gangs, and she, through a series of steps, ends up kind of aligning herself with one gang trying to find her mother, and her whole lineage comes up. There's like the gang rivalries, but there's also the casino rivalries, and then there's this card game playing, and I've read this book twice. I'm probably going to read it again before King of Fools, which is the sequel, comes out in 2019. I'm very excited for that one, and it's just really, really, really good. It gave me a little bit of like Six of Crows-y kind of vibes with the ragtag group and like a sort of heisty situation, and yeah, I just love it. If you've met me, you will understand and not be surprised at all that I read The Black Witch more than once this year. I think I read it 3 times. I want to say 3 times this year. If not 3, then just 2. But The Black Witch is the start of this whole series. It was surrounded by a bunch of controversy when it came out, but it is, I'm obsessed with this series, but it's set in this world that is very segregated, based on species and magic sort of situation, which in no way is reflective of our society and races, and our main character is brought up in a position of privilege because of her race, species, but then her uncle sends her to school, and she realizes all the things that her aunt and the government have been spewing about segregation and all that stuff has some massive flaws, and none of it's true. So they start a rebellion, and it's so good, and there's this whole magic element in it, and it's just, it's so good. And I will continue to reread this book every couple months, I think. I also read Gunslinger Girl twice this year. This is a book that really honestly surprised me. This is Litsy. I think it's her first work. Yes, it is her debut work. It is like a Western historical fiction fantasy dystopian, and I wasn't expecting to like it. It's really not as westerny as I thought it was going to be. I just picked it up, and I'd heard kind of mixed things on it, and then read it, and I absolutely loved it. It kind of did remind me a little bit of Ace of Shades, actually, and just with like maybe a western setting, which I think the setting was really like the only kind of westerny part, that and her ability to shoot. And I really love Serendipity. I'm curious to see if she's going to have any like companions or like e-novellas come out. Because Litsy was in the TBR and Beyond group, and she'd mentioned she has ideas for like other people's backstories. And there's quite a few interesting characters in this book, especially like the Madam Mayor lady of this weird dystopian town. I'm very curious about that. And there's a lot of reveals at the end. So it's technically a standalone, but I'm hoping we get more of it eventually. And I'm going to keep an eye on this author. I also read An Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors by Curtis Craddock at least twice this year. This is one where I think Goodreads was lying to me. But this is the first book in the the Risen Kingdom series. The second book, A Labyrinth of Scions and Sorcery, comes out in February, and I am so excited about that. But this is like almost like a Three Musketeers steampunk in the sky sort of situation. So our main character here has this kind of guardian character, and he is our Three Musketeers character, and she is sent to marry a gentleman across in another kingdom because her father is a piece of work, and our musketeer guy goes along to protect her because he's kind of her father figure, really. She has a father, and it's not him, but he is her father figure. And assassination plots amok, and there's a bunch of different magic capabilities, including the ability to travel through mirrors, which, like, oh my god, that, like, I don't understand how that has never been used more. Honestly, I've never read a book, I don't think, where that's been used before, but, like, how that is not used more commonly, because the concept is amazing, and I'm just so freaking excited for the sequel of this one. I happily reread Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I don't know how long this series is going to be anymore. I'm getting concerned because Wondersmith, the sequel, is out now, and Goodreads doesn't have any more books like on there, and I can't find anything on their Twitter or Instagram. I'm hoping there's more to it, but I haven't read Wondersmith, so I don't know if there is even the capabilities story-wise to. But The Calling of Morgan Crow follows our main character in this kind of Harry Potter-inspired world where she is assumed to die at her 12th birthday because she was born on a certain day, and then all of a sudden that day comes a year early, still on her birthday, but the year before, and then she's taken away by this sort of Hagrid character, this other world where she has to compete to essentially enter it permanently between all these other characters. So there's like some Harry Potter and then like some Ready Player One kind of challenge things built. It's just a very weird and wonderful and whimsical book, and I wish everyone would read it. I also read The Star-Touched Queen by Roshni Chokshi twice this year. Earlier on, I think in the summer, in like May or June. Read it, loved the writing, it was beautiful, and couldn't remember a single thing about the book. So I reread it last month, or last week, or very recently, because Roshni is going to be in the TBR and Beyond group in January, and I also read The Gilded Wolves. And I've read Arusha, and I just finished reading A Crown of Wishes, so I'm all caught up. I'm so excited. And it is Indian-inspired retellings, and it's a very weird book that is very difficult to explain. Just read the summary on Goodreads is the simplest way I can say. But her writing is absolutely beautiful, and it's a very weird and wonderful retelling. It's not something you've ever read before, and her writing is just so romantic and so, like, just absolutely complimentary of fairy tales and retellings. I also read Wand Fasted by Laurie Forrest at least twice again this year. This is the prequel story to The Black Witch. So we meet Ellerin, she is the main character in The Black Witch. We meet her parents and we go through how they met and the situation. And it's really interesting because you meet the backstory of not only her parents, but other characters who do pop up in The Black Witch and continue to pop up in like Light Mage and Iron Flower. So it's really nice to get that more of a basis, but you also find out more about the world and how God is messed up as it is in The Black Witch. I also just really love that book that you get to see how much Ellerin is like her parents, and she doesn't even realize it. And I think, lastly, I read Sight Witch by Susan Dennard twice this year, kind of. I read the arc of it, and it wasn't the full thing, it was the majority of it. And it didn't have the pictures either, so I don't know if I should count it, but I'm just gonna include it anyways. But it follows one of the side characters, and we find out more about the religion and the kind of priestesses in the side and everything. I do want to spend 2019 rereading Truth Witch and Wind Witch and Sight Witch before Blood Witch comes out. I don't love the cover of Blood Witch, so I'm debating if I want to get it. But I remember really enjoying Truth Witch and Wind Witch, but I didn't remember an awful lot of it when I went to read Sight Witch, so I think that did influence me. So that is a 2019 plan. So those are all of the books that I read at least more than once this year. Let me know in the comments section down below if you did any rereads. I mean, I didn't even include actually books that I have read more than once as a whole because this would just be an enormously long video because I did so many rereads this year. But let me know if you did any rereads or if you read any books specifically this year more than once. I would love to know, or if you have any thoughts on any of these books. Make sure to check the description box down below. I will link all of the books to their Goodreads pages, and I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.